Our subconscious mind can't tell the difference between reality, what is truly happening, and what we imagine. Thankfully, I learned this early on in my life, and it was a game changer. I began visualizing everything I wanted, and I even created a vision book and board, and it literally changed my life. My second home in the mountains, as well as my third home, which is on the beach, I visualized for years, and they're like identical to what I visualized. So, my friends, it works. I encourage you to just take a minute and write down what you really want, and then create a plan to purchase a bulletin board or a binder with plastic inserts where you can put pages in, and then get magazine pictures that represent that dream life. Hi, I'm Annette Bau, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast and founder of the Millionaire Insider. My mission is to help you simplify the money game so you can create a financially secure and fulfilled life without having to have a PhD or spend countless hours on your finances. You're going to learn how to think like a millionaire, stop worrying about money and wondering if your financial house is truly in order, and instead spend your time doing what you love. With over 3 decades advising 7, 8, and even 9-figure millionaires, and now joining that elite group, I'm in a unique position to help you make the best financial choices so you can create a secure financial future and retirement you love. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Today's free resource is our Millionaire Mindset Guide. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. Thinking like a millionaire is a helpful step to achieving financial freedom. This guide provides insight from over 3 decades of how millionaires think, what they do, and why they are successful. This guide contains over 40 years of research, including 35 years of advising millionaires. So it is so powerful. I encourage you to download it. Again, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. MillionaireSeries.com copyrights all materials and intellectual property. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement planning, or healthcare advice. By accessing this content, you agree to hold MillionaireSeries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/85. Today, you're going to learn millionaire habits that have changed my life. So let's dive in. Most of our society is obsessed with wealthy people, and many have beliefs that often aren't true. I know I did 3 decades before I began advising them, and I get it. When you're not a multimillionaire, you can't help but wonder what your life would be like if you become one. And today we're going to dive into some insights and habits that I've learned on my journey of spending over 35 years advising wealthy people, and really even looking at how they make choices and what they do differently so that you'll be better prepared on your journey. Whether your desire is just to become a millionaire, you already are a millionaire, you want to remain one, or all of the above. I'm going to share some commonly known and not so commonly known insights that I've learned over the last 3 decades. So number 1, you got to know your values and integrity. While it should go without saying, our values and integrity should be built on solid grounding and not when it's convenient. Thankfully, I can show that most of my clients had such high integrity and values, and it was great to witness that you could not only be a really good person, but you could also accumulate a lot of wealth. And I'll just say this, in the end, it matters. You know, when you're on your dying bed, you're not thinking about the next dollar you can make, at least not for most people. And you really are looking back over your life and saying, what kind of decisions did I make? Where did I put my priorities? And what was important to me? Unfortunately, some people want money to have power and not do good things. It's always a choice on how we show up. And I truly believe in karma. I have seen it over and over again. It's not over until it's over. So get clear on your values and continue to live with integrity. You're going to dramatically improve your odds of creating a life you love and that you're truly proud of. So that's the first one. The second one is just to make health a priority. As the saying goes, health is wealth. Without health, wealth is really irrelevant. And sadly, many millionaires learn that way too late. So what can you do? The first thing you need to do is just get sleep. Everything you read is all about getting up earlier to achieve success, when in reality, less sleep causes serious health issues, often life-threatening ones. I mean, it ranges anywhere from irritability and depression all the way to obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart issues. It's terrifying. The real eye opener for me was seeing so many sleep deprived millionaires with life threatening health issues. Now, what was crazy is at the time I didn't know that. I didn't correlate that because there hadn't been as much research on it. But thankfully, I saw early on what happens when you don't make health a priority. And it made such a huge impact on my life. And it's why health is such a priority in my life. And hopefully it is for you too. It's such an important habit. So ideally, you're getting to bed by 9:30 and you wake up on your own. Now, I know sometimes you can't do that, but as you start training yourself, it becomes easier. 30 to 90 minutes before bed, turn off anything that stimulates your nervous system, such as an iPhone, computer, TV, scary books, anything like that. I find that a cup of herbal tea really helps. And I like nighty night. I also have a favorite caramel night tea that I like, but anything that relaxes you and just helps you transition to getting ready for bed and ultimately going to sleep. Now, what I find is a lot of time I'm on my computer or phone, and then I have my evening ritual, and that gives me that 30 to 60 minutes before I go to bed. But it's really important and helpful to not have your nervous system stimulated before you go to bed. Upon awakening in the morning, I recommend that you ease into your day. My day typically begins with getting grounded and centered. I do focused breathing, I do meditation, I do chants, I do about 45 minutes of yoga, a combination of Kundalini and restorative yin. And then I take a walk with my husband and dogs. That starts my day. And I ease into it. I typically have about an hour, hour and 15 minutes before I go for the walk. So it just gives me time to really get grounded. The next thing is your diet. As you know, I recommend a diet that consists of lean protein, low starch vegetables, as well as plant proteins. So most people think of lean proteins more as, fish, chicken, turkey, things like that. But I also want to encourage you to consider plant proteins such as hemp, flaxseed, basil seeds, spirulina, pecans, walnuts, macadamia butter. One of the things that I encourage you to also do is really eat a lot of dark leafy green veggies, low carb veggies. You can just search them online. And then I personally do my best to avoid sugar and carbs. This may be too much information, but my entire life I've had fibrosis, which is a thickening of the breast tissue. I believe they call them fibrous cysts. I've never had a problem, but since I stopped eating sugar and carbs, the last time I just got my mammogram, which was like 2 months ago, none, absolutely none. In fact, my doctor's like, oh my gosh, it's really powerful what can happen when we clean up our diet. So I encourage you to entertain that. Now, I saw a trend in my blood sugar. I kept reading about the number of people with diabetes. I mean, it's guesstimated 10 years ago that 1 in 4 had it. Now it's guesstimated 1 in 2, and most have no idea. I then had developed some digestive issues. And once I cut out sugar, my health was immediately restored. It was just unbelievable. Now it's about 2 years later. And as long as I don't eat sugar, I'm fine. Now, when I eat sugar, I don't have as much digestive issues as I do this horrible pain in my right side. It's so interesting. So I just encourage you to clean up your diet and do what you can to really eat clean food. The next thing is really working to get your cardio in. Now, I focus on 10,000 steps a day. As I mentioned, I do 45 minutes of yin yoga along with Kundalini yoga in the morning. Restorative yin is where you hold the position for 3 to 5 minutes. Kundalini is where you're doing more prana work and breath work. It's hard, and I do recommend if you start doing Kundalini yoga, you find a really good instructor before you just start it on your own, because it can really activate energy, and you just want to be careful there. 3 times a week, I do weight training. No, I've weighed what I weighed in my 20s. I feel great. So that habit has been priceless. The next one is mental health. What I encourage you to do is to just consider what you need. Do you need a therapist? I've had a therapist on and off for most of my adult life, and it's been the best decision I've made. And now it's different, meaning it's more just looking kind of at the bigger picture of what's going on. And she's got a lot of experience in a lot of areas. And so she just kind of helps navigate different opportunities and different things and how I'm seeing them and what her thoughts and comments are. But it's just so helpful. Now, my go-to for mental health is more yoga, meditation, and prayer, but that's evolved through my life. So I really encourage you to just look at what you need, but make sure you make mental health a priority. There is such an epidemic of mental health issues in this country, and it's quite sad. And it's a problem because there's not enough being done to really help that segment of our population. And so, what I encourage you to do is do the things you can do to really work on your mental health. And if you need help, get it. Set goals and then visualize them becoming a reality. Our subconscious mind can't tell the difference between reality, what is truly happening, and what we imagine. Thankfully, I learned this early on in my life, and it was a game changer. I began visualizing everything I wanted, and I even created a vision book and board, and it literally changed my life. My second home in the mountains, as well as my third home, which is on the beach, I visualized for years, and they're like identical to what I visualized. So, my friends, it works. I encourage you to just take a minute and write down what you really want, and then create a plan to purchase a bulletin board or a binder with plastic inserts where you can put pages in, and then get magazine pictures that represent that dream life. I still have a vision board. One of the first things I did when I first created my vision board is I had a picture that showed a paid off mortgage. And this year marks 21 years of living debt free. It's powerful. All right, you want to choose healthy relationships. Surround yourself with like-minded, kind people. Be careful who gets into your inner circle and make sure they share your core values. Tied to this is marrying the right person. My friends, I think marriage is very hard, and I advise many people, and I will say one of the hardest relationships people have is marriage. Choosing the right person makes it easier. My husband and I are going to be celebrating 27 years of marriage in December and 28 years together. The key, I think, is that we have very similar values: integrity, trust, faith, family, and we're committed to our marriage. Going through life with a partner, the right partner, makes it so much easier. Choosing the right partner also helps most people's net worth because you don't have to worry about getting divorced and splitting your assets. So it's a triple win. An attorney friend of mine had told me early on not to get a prenuptial agreement because she said what ends up happening, as long as you're marrying somebody where it's not completely like, somebody's worth 100 million, somebody's broke. She said, it's better off having your assets mingled because you are more committed. Now, this was her opinion. I understand not everyone's going to agree with that, but she said, but I see a lot of times people get married and they don't really have a lot holding them together. Sometimes they've got kids, sometimes they've got their values, but she said money is also a piece. For me, that was a great recommendation. Now, again, you've got to choose for you, but I do know that there have been times where I'm like, I just want to be single. I just want to make my own decisions and I don't want to consult with somebody. But when you have everything mixed in, it makes it more difficult to call it quits. And to me, that's a win because it's not ever been anything major, like, a deal breaker where, it would be infidelity or it would be something along those lines where for me would be a deal breaker. But it's just been things that, you get mad about something. It's really, when you look at it in the big picture, it's like, really? I mean, okay, that's embarrassing. Like I was not acting as my best self at that point. And I think when you have commingled assets and commingled friends and commingled family and all that, it helps. All right, number 5, living debt-free. We live in a very debt-ridden country and society. It's the norm. And those of us who choose to live debt-free are the outliers. Hopefully that doesn't deter you from living debt-free because it provides you so much peace of mind, freedom, and choices. Living debt-free is one of the best decisions my husband and I have ever made. And in the next step, action at the bottom, where I provide you a conclusion, I'm going to share some specific insights to achieving this goal, if your goal is to become debt-free. All right, number 6, have fun. Determine what that means to you. What do you enjoy doing? Traveling, hiking, practicing yoga, cooking new foods, eating at new restaurants, watching funny movies. Whatever it is, do more of it. And consider incorporating more hobbies that allow you to save more money. Number 7, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Too often, people fall into keeping up with the Joneses or neighbors, and it is a dead end destination. You want to run your race and focus on your goal. We have friends who've made 10 times what we have made. And years later, now our net worth is 10 times theirs simply because we didn't fall into that trap of keeping up with the Joneses. Most millionaires who remain financially secure are not trying to keep up with anyone. They live within their means and they often avoid debt. The most important next step is to determine what you want and then consistently take action to create it. Determine how you want to spend your time and then prioritize it. For me, it includes hanging out with my family and friends, hiking, yoga, meditation, working out, and serving my awesome clients. A couple other tips. I encourage you to read some nonfiction biographies and personal development books. Some of the ones that I really like, The Instant Millionaire is one of my favorite ones. The Richest Man in Babylon is another one. And then even the book I wrote, The 7 Principles of Becoming Fulfilled and Wealthy. The reason I like that book so much is because it's based on 30 years of research. I wrote it and then I've updated it, and it's just got some really good content. All right, some other habits that I encourage you to consider: creating multiple streams of income. Start with one stream. Once you hit 6 figures, then you can branch out. My streams include, obviously, I have an advisory business. So I've got an advisory business where I've got assets under management, fees for hourly work, and then I have commissions, which typically work kind of like fees, meaning instead of earning a fee, I'll earn a commission. And then I have my online business, which includes sale of books, my mastermind, and then various courses. And then we have real estate, rental and land. And I don't love rental, but we do have a commercial property. And then we have a residential property we rent out. And then as far as land goes, we've got in 2 lots. That's, very high risk. You got expenses, you don't have any income, so you got to be really careful about getting into any type of real estate, as well as stocks. We have both appreciating as well as dividend producing. And then my favorite in the whole wide world is guaranteed passive income. Now, you can get this from Social Security, which a lot of people do. I think that as we're moving forward here, it's becoming more and more apparent that you're going to have to take more of retirement into your hands. Even if Social Security is around or it's at a percentage of what the current amounts are, you still are going to need to do something about it. And studies show that about 40 to 50% of people are solely reliant on Social Security, and another 20 to 30% are at risk of running out of money. It's kind of terrifying. And that's why I love guaranteed passive income. So Social Security, a pension, if you're lucky enough to have one, and then guaranteed income, which is typically offered through an insurance company. But again, before you begin any plan, you really need to have a qualified advisor looking at your situation to make sure what works for you. And then last but not least, don't give up. Millionaires are committed and determined, and it is so important to believe in yourself when no one else does. You just got to start. I began investing $25 a month 35 years ago, and today I'm in the upper echelon of net worth. Everyone always asks me, what did you invest in? That's not the point. The discipline is the point. It's what you do, even when you can't really afford to. And I encourage you to set up an emergency reserve that you fund with 6 months cash and then start investing as soon as you can. All right, let's recap. Number 1, know your values and integrity. It is so critical. You've got to get clear on what that means to you, and then check in and confirm you're living them. One client of mine shared that she was really depressed. And when I asked her what her values were, she shared faith, family, and friends. And I said, great, just go track your time for the next week. She came in and she goes, wow, I'm spending the majority of my time watching mindless TV and then shopping on QVC and then eating. I was like, well, that seems like a disconnect. Within a month, this awareness completely shifted everything in her life. Now, I encourage you to look at that too. What is it that you really stand for? We're living in times where it's so much more about fighting. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong. And what I find interesting is that how easy it's been to get our country to be kind of like us against them. And I just think that's not what most people stand for. And when you step back and you can look at that, you're like, wait a minute, this is plain wrong. This is not how I was raised. So I encourage you to look at that and really be, the catalyst for change, the person that can really live the integrity and the values that you want to be remembered by. All right, number two, make health a priority. Wealth is elusive and can be such an addiction. You want to make health your top priority. That means getting 7 to 8.5 hours of sleep each night, drinking 50% of your body weight of water each day. So if you weigh 120 pounds, it would be 60 ounces. Create a meal plan with lean protein, organic, non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, and then, if appropriate, complex carbohydrates. All right, you want to set goals and then visualize them. I encourage you to write out your goals in I am or I active verb and then visualize them each day. Create a vision board or book to help you. You also want to choose healthy relationships. This is such a critical step in creating habits that really are going to serve you. Determine the criterion on who gets into your inner circle. If you stand for honesty, integrity, and social responsibility, then you need to find others who share those values. That is a critical habit. And then live debt free. Determine how much money you earn on average each month and how much money you spend, and then what's left over. Now, I want you to really identify what is a need and what's a want. And I encourage you for the next, say, couple of years, cut out excessive spending. If it's not essential, it's a want. And I encourage you to really get clear on what you need, have to have, and what you want. You will never come back to me and complain that you have too much money. You will come back to me and complain if you get in a situation where you don't have enough money or the cost of goods gets so high you can't afford them. Again, just be aware of that. You're not going to regret doing that. Now I want you to determine your net worth. These are your assets, what you own, less your liabilities, what you owe. And then I want you to first fund your emergency reserve, 3 to 12 months, depending on your situation, pay off your credit cards, and then your loans, meaning the highest loan, and then next and next, such as a car, and then your mortgage. And I really encourage you to make that a priority. Not having debt, having liquidity, having all of those options is key. Warren Buffett right now, everyone, oh, the market's doing great. Oh, it's going crazy. Warren Buffett's in cash. It's like, yeah, I have a lot of cash too, but I've had a lot of cash for a little while. You got to be aware. Do not just follow the herd mentality. You start looking at, cryptocurrency being at 100,000. People forget when it drops so dramatically. Like people were losing tons of money. And people forget really easily. So don't let that be you. And then have fun. Determine what you love doing and work on hobbies that don't cost a lot of money. Hiking, yoga, meditation, pickleball, tennis, time with friends, all those things. And then stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. This habit will determine more about your financial future than almost any of the others. So you got to make it a priority. And my friends, if you do, you're going to be so glad you did. One of the things I just want to comment on post-election, you need to have a solid plan. I recommend that you really buckle down and, focus on saving money for the next few years. Start lowering what you're spending money on and really be aware. If you can, stock up on some of your favorite items or some items that could be impacted by tariffs, because a lot of people do not realize that the consumer is who pays for the tariffs, and it can be a real problem. I encourage you to really stock up on what you need and then just be really aware of where you're spending money. Dial it down, start saving more, have more in your emergency reserve. So if things start getting really expensive or there's a period of time when they are, you have an ability to adjust and shift, and that you're not going to be in a situation where you don't have enough money or you can't afford to pay for the things that you need and want. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode, and please share this with family and friends. They and you will be so glad you did, because they won't be coming to you when they need money, and they will do the things they need to do to be healthy and wealthy. If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future, or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for Next Step Finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Ba'u, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.